U.S. military personnel and ground crew have been spotted preparing explosive ordnance at an airbase in Gloucestershire. It follows U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's announcement earlier that today will be the most intense day of U.S. strikes on Iran, with the most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes. A fleet of U.S. military planes have been stationed at RAF Fairford since Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer approved defensive U.S. action against Iranian missile sites from UK bases. 3 B-52 bombers, which can carry up to 24 cruise missiles, and 4 B-1 Lancer bombers have been spotted arriving at the Cotswold base since Friday. Air activity has increased significantly at RAF Fairford since the U.S. was granted permission to use the base in Gloucestershire and Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. And earlier, U.S. military personnel and ground crew were seen at the base preparing the B-1 Lancer bombers for operation. Sir Keir had initially refused to grant permission for the U.S. to use UK bases in its joint offensive with Israel against Iran, which caused a disagreement with President Donald Trump. But at the beginning of March, the Prime Minister agreed the bases could be used for the, quote, full specific and limited defensive purpose of destroying Iran's missiles at source. RAF Fairford has one of the longest runways in the UK at just under 2 miles, 3 kilometers, which makes it the preferred choice for large bombers. In a bid to bolster its military base in the Cotswolds, the US has stationed a number of its heavy-duty bombers at the base. The 146-feet B-1 bomber, which weighs 86 tons, is the fastest bomber in the US Air Force, according to Boeing, hitting speeds of more than 900 miles per hour. Nicknamed the Bone, it has advanced radar and GPS systems to help hit targets and electronic jammers, radar warnings, and a decoy system to protect it from enemies. B-52 bombers, which came into service in the 1950s, along with C-17 transporter planes carrying munitions and spare parts for the bombers, have also been spotted at the base. On the 28th of February, Israel and the US launched a joint attack on Iran, prompting retaliatory Iranian missile and drone strikes against Israel and targets in Middle Eastern countries hosting US military bases and embassies. The UK government has not joined the US and Israel in offensive operations against Iran. RAF Fairford, located on the border of Gloucestershire and Wiltshire, has been used by the US in the past to conduct long-range heavy bombing missions. It is one of the very few European bases certified to operate bombers like the B-1, B-52, and B-2. Meanwhile, the Royal Navy warship HMS Dragon finally set sail for Cyprus last night, a week after she was ordered to be made ready for sea. She may well arrive next week and find the war has passed the Type 45 air defense destroyer and her crew by as they raced south from Portsmouth. What she will definitely find is a French-led carrier strike group already near the island, ready to protect it from Iranian missile attacks. The carrier Charles de Gaulle and an allied armada of ships, French, Italian, Spanish, and Greek, will have been there for days, allowing French President Emmanuel Macron to rub British noses in the dirt. Earlier this week, he insisted Cyprus can count on France, as he rubbed salt in the wound of Britain's military embarrassment. The French president swiped at the UK's difficulties defending the crucial RAF Akrotiri base from Iranian reprisals as he visited the island. And he went further, announcing that France will send further warships to the Red Sea and Straits of Hormuz to join US efforts to guarantee oil tankers can get through. In all, he suggested a dozen ships could be deployed. While this is a fraction of the surface power of the world's largest naval power, the US Navy, it is more than the Royal Navy can currently manage. Apart from Dragon, only one other ship, landing ship RFA Lime Bay, is being made ready, and that is in case it is needed to help evacuate expat Brits in the Gulf rather than for any combat requirement. A glossy video posted on social media by Mr. Macron shows him posing with forces personnel and a variety of impressive military hardware, including the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier. It features people singing national anthem La Marseillaise and dramatic classical music. As Mr. Macron comments, Your presence demonstrates the power of France. Paris has taken the opportunity to put on a display of power as the UK struggles to mobilize even a single warship to protect Cyprus. He was hugged by his Cypriot counterpart on the tarmac after his presidential plane taxied to a halt at Paphos Airport. On paper, there appears to be a major mismatch between the Royal Navy's 63 vessels and the Marine Nationale's 133, although the reality is a bit more complicated. Included in the French total are more than 50 support ships. Its Coast Guard is also part of the force. In terms of major warships, it has 1 aircraft carrier, 2 helicopter carriers, 17 destroyers and frigates, and 9 submarines, plus an array of smaller patrol vessels and minesweepers. The Royal Navy has 2 aircraft carriers, 2 assault ships, 13 destroyers and frigates, and 9 submarines, and likewise additional smaller ships. And there is also a little French ruse de guerre at play, with some of the ships in the Middle East already as part of long-term deployments, including against Houthi pirates off Yemen. The main difference is the French ability to use their ships properly. There are serious questions as to how much of the Royal Navy fleet is in a position to put to sea with any sort of immediacy. Only 3 of the 6 Type 45 destroyers are currently operational, with the others undergoing major refit work. The lead ship of the class, HMS Daring, has not been operational since 2017, initially going in for engine replacement work and then being cannibalized for spare parts to keep the other 5 going. Most of the aging Type 23 frigates are also tied up, with replacement Type 25 and 31 frigates not expected to start entering service until later this decade and well into the next. Britain also has 5 Astute-class attack submarines, but only 1 is overseas in Australia. Last night, Parliament's Defense Committee has raised concerns over the Royal Navy's capacity to respond to the Iran crisis. The committee said that after a secret briefing on Middle East operations from senior civilian and military officials from the Ministry of Defense on Tuesday morning, its members were left satisfied that the UK's decision-making and preparedness measures in place ahead of the recent military activity were grounded in a coherent logic. The Defense Secretary praised the Royal Navy's remarkable effort to prepare HMS Dragon for deployment over the past week. John Healey said, "I have only praise for our Royal Navy personnel and civilian teams who have worked flat out to prepare HMS Dragon for deployment to the Eastern Mediterranean. What is normally 6 weeks of work was completed in just 6 days. A remarkable effort delivered around the clock. They are the very best of Britain in action." HMS Dragon's commanding officer, Commander Ian Griffin, said, "My ship's company have worked tirelessly to ensure we are ready for our mission to the Eastern Mediterranean. I am proud of the professional manner in which they have responded. We are trained for this, we are ready for this, we have the equipment and people, we have the support of the British people, and, most importantly, our families and friends.